Let me ask you something, and I want you to pause and really think about it. Have you ever wondered why the most successful people so often talk about small daily habits rather than big dramatic changes? What is it about those tiny disciplines that makes them so powerful? And could it be that the key to your own mental strength, focus, and growth is hidden in the smallest actions you take each day? Here's a truth that most of us overlook. Real lasting strength doesn't come from moments of huge inspiration or from one major life overhaul. It comes from the small things, the simple, consistent choices you make every day, the quiet disciplines that no one sees, but that shape who you become over time. When we think about change, it's tempting to focus on the big gestures, the new job, the bold goal, the fresh start on January 1st. But the real power, it's in the small daily actions that build momentum, that create structure, that strengthen your mind little by little. And that's what we're going to explore in this video, the hidden power of tiny daily disciplines and how you can start using them today to transform your mindset, your habits, and your life. These aren't just theories that sound good in a book or a podcast. What I'll share with you comes from ancient wisdom, like the teachings of Stoic philosophers who understood that small daily practices were the path to self-mastery, and from modern science, which shows us how tiny habits shape the way we think, act, and feel over time. And the best part? You don't need to make sweeping changes to start seeing the difference. In this video, I'll break down simple, practical strategies, easy habits you can weave into your day without needing more time, energy, or willpower. Habits that work quietly in the background to build mental resilience, clarity, and strength. Before we dive deeper, do me a favor if you're ready to build that kind of strength, not through big promises, but through small, steady steps. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss the guides we're creating on Stoic mindset, self-mastery, and building powerful habits that last. Because this is about more than motivation. This is about building a life that feels strong from the inside out. So let's get started and discover together how tiny daily disciplines can change everything. Let's dive deeper into the heart of today's message, why tiny daily disciplines are so powerful. Because on the surface, it might not seem like much, right? Writing one sentence in a journal, taking 3 deep breaths before starting your day, skipping your phone for the first 15 minutes in the morning. These actions feel small, almost too small to matter. But here's where the hidden power lies. These small choices done consistently can shape your entire life. And I want to show you how. First, let's talk about one of the biggest benefits of tiny daily disciplines. They help you build habits that actually last without overwhelming your mind or your willpower. Think about the last time you tried to make a big change all at once. Maybe you decided to completely overhaul your morning routine, or you set a goal to meditate for 30 minutes, write 2 pages in your journal, exercise for an hour all before breakfast. It sounds great in theory, but in reality, it's hard to sustain. Life gets busy, motivation fades, and the routine that once felt exciting starts to feel heavy. Before you know it, you miss a day, then 2, and the habit slips away. Tiny disciplines solve this problem. Because they're small by design, they don't feel like a huge effort. You don't need to talk yourself into them. You don't need to rely on bursts of willpower. The habit feels so easy that skipping it seems almost silly. And that's exactly what makes it stick. When your daily discipline feels manageable, it becomes part of who you are, not just something you do when you're feeling motivated. Now let's take this a step further. Tiny daily disciplines don't just help you build habits. They tap into what's known as the power of accumulation. If you've read Atomic Habits by James Clear, You may remember this striking idea: if you get just 1% better each day, you'll be nearly 37 times better at the end of a year. Think about that. 1%, a tiny shift. But over time, it creates massive change. Let's put this in context. Imagine you choose to spend 2 minutes each day reflecting on what's in your control, a core Stoic practice. 2 minutes doesn't feel like much on any given day. But over a month, that's an hour of focused self-reflection. Over a year, that's 12 hours of deepening your mental clarity and resilience. And because the habit is tiny, it's easier to stick with it long enough to reap the benefits. Or maybe you choose to do 5 push-ups each morning. That might not seem like a path to strength. But 5 push-ups every day for a year, that's over 1-800 push-ups. And as the habit builds, you'll likely find yourself doing more, because consistency breeds confidence, and confidence fuels growth. Another reason tiny disciplines are so powerful is that they reduce your dependence on short-term motivation. Let's be honest, motivation is a wonderful feeling, but it's fleeting. We can't count on it to be there every morning, every evening, every time life gets hard. What we can count on are our systems, and tiny disciplines are the foundation of those systems. When your daily actions are small and sustainable, you can keep going even on the days when you don't feel inspired. And those are the days that matter most, because they're the days that build true strength. Let me share something from my own journey. There was a time when I kept trying to change my life through big declarations. From now on, I'm going to meditate for an hour every morning. Or I'm going to write 3 pages in my journal every night. And I'd do it for a while, until the excitement wore off, until a busy day threw me off track, until I felt overwhelmed. But when I shifted to tiny daily disciplines, just 2 minutes of breathing, just 1 line of writing, that's when real change began. Because I could do it on my best days and my hardest days. And over time, those tiny actions transformed how I thought, how I felt, how I lived. So I want to invite you to think about this. What's one small daily discipline that feels so easy you can't say no? Could it be writing down 1 thing you're grateful for each morning? Could it be standing outside for 1 minute to feel the sun on your face? Could it be pausing for 3 deep breaths before you start your workday? Whatever it is, choose something that feels light, because light is what gets done. And what gets done daily, that's what shapes who you become. In the next part of this video, we'll look at real-world examples, how Stoic thinkers, modern leaders, and everyday people use tiny disciplines to build strength, clarity, and resilience. But for now, I want you to sit with this thought: big change doesn't come from big effort once in a while. It comes from small effort applied steadily. And that's the hidden power of tiny daily disciplines. So we've explored why tiny daily disciplines hold so much hidden power. Now let's bring this to life with real examples, because these aren't just theories or nice ideas. Across centuries and cultures, we see how small, steady practices shape people who lead with wisdom, resilience, and clarity. And the best part, these examples aren't reserved for the gifted or the rare. They're for all of us. Let's start with Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Imagine the weight on his shoulders, leading an empire facing wars, plagues, political intrigue. Yet through it all, Marcus turned to one quiet, simple practice: daily journaling. Not pages and pages, just small reflections each morning or evening written to himself, never meant for others to read. What was he doing? He was training his mind. He was strengthening his inner clarity. His journaling helped him examine his thoughts, remind himself of what truly mattered, and prepare to face whatever the day might bring with courage and purpose. And here's what's remarkable: Marcus didn't wait for peace and quiet to start this habit. He didn't journal when life was easy. He journaled as a tool to make sense of life's chaos. His tiny discipline done consistently helped him embody the very stoic virtues he's remembered for today: wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage. Now fast forward to our time. Tim Ferriss, a name many of you probably know, best-selling author, entrepreneur, productivity expert. Tim often talks about how small habits drive his ability to perform at a high level. One of his simplest but most powerful daily practices, a 5-minute gratitude journal. Each morning he takes a few moments to jot down things he's thankful for. Sometimes they're big relationships, opportunities, health. Often they're small, a warm cup of tea, the sun through his window, a kind word from a friend. What's the effect? This tiny discipline shifts his focus away from stress and toward abundance. It helps him start the day grounded, clear, and ready to engage with whatever comes his way. Tim pairs this with another micro habit: 3 minutes of focused breathing. That's it, 3 minutes. But in that space, he centers himself. He slows down the mental noise. He trains his nervous system to stay steady so that when pressure hits, he can respond rather than react. And that, my friends, is what tiny disciplines are all about: creating small anchors of strength that hold you steady in life's storms. But don't just take their word for it. Modern science backs this up. A study published in the Journal of Behavioral Science looked at people who practiced micro-habits for at least 21 consecutive days. Things like brief daily reflection, 1 minute of focused breathing, or jotting down a single line of intention each morning. The result: these participants saw a 35% increase in their ability to control impulses and emotions. They also reported significantly lower levels of stress. Why? Because tiny disciplines done daily build the muscles of self-regulation. And when you can regulate yourself, your focus, your mood, your choices, you strengthen your mind from the inside out. Let me bring this closer to home with a personal reflection. There was a time in my own life when I felt like I needed massive change. I'd set these huge goals: from now on, I'll write 1,000 words every morning. I'll meditate for an hour. I'll work out for 90 minutes, and sure, I'd do it for a week, maybe 2. But life would happen. I'd get tired, I'd get busy, and the habits would slip. What finally helped scaling down? I began with just 1 sentence of journaling, 2 minutes of stillness, 5 push-ups to start the day, and something shifted. I could do these small actions even on the busiest mornings, even on the hardest days. And that consistency built confidence. That confidence built momentum, and momentum over time transformed not just my routines, but my mindset. So let me ask you, what's one tiny daily discipline you could start tomorrow? What's one small action so easy that skipping it would feel harder than doing it? Could you write 1 sentence? Could you take 3 deep breaths before you open your laptop? Could you spend 30 seconds at the start of the day reminding yourself, today I choose focus over distraction? Remember, it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be consistent. That's where the magic lives. As we continue this journey, I want you to reflect on this. The greatest transformations don't come from grand gestures. They come from small, steady steps, taken with intention. And tiny daily disciplines are the map that will get you there. Now that we've explored why tiny daily disciplines are so powerful and seen real examples of people who live by them, let's make this practical. Let's talk about simple micro habits that you can start today. Small actions that don't require massive willpower, extra time, or perfect conditions. Just simple, meaningful steps that help you build strength from within day by day. Let's start with one of my favorites: writing 1 sentence each morning. That's it. Not a full page, not a detailed journal entry, just 1 sentence. You might write down something you're grateful for. You might write a small intention: today I will choose patience. Or you might simply note what's on your heart. Why does this work? Because the act of pausing to reflect even for 30 seconds shifts your focus. It pulls you out of autopilot and helps you connect with what matters most to you before the noise of the world takes over. And here's what's beautiful over time. Those single sentences stack up. They create a record of your growth, your values, your journey, one small line at a time. Next, let's talk about 3 minutes of deep breathing before you dive into your workday. 3 minutes. We all have that. And the impact is huge. When you take intentional, slow breaths, you signal to your nervous system that you're safe. You slow down your racing thoughts. You create space between what's happening around you and how you choose to respond. Imagine starting your day not in a rush of emails, meetings, and demands, but grounded, centered calm. That's the gift of 3 minutes of breathing. And science backs this up. Even brief breathing exercises can lower blood pressure, improve focus, and reduce stress. Another powerful habit, and one I personally use every day, is asking yourself a simple question: what is within my control today? This is pure Stoic wisdom, and it's powerful because it cuts through the overwhelm. So much of our anxiety comes from focusing on things we can't change: the economy, other people's opinions, the traffic. But when you start your morning by asking, what can I actually control today? Your attitude, your choices, your effort, you reclaim your energy. You set your sights on what truly matters. And that mindset carries you through the challenges of the day with resilience and purpose. Here's another habit that's deceptively simple but life-changing. Don't check your phone for the first 30 minutes of the day. I know, easier said than done. But think about this: when you wake up and immediately check notifications, news, and social media, you're handing over your mental space to the outside world. You're letting other people's priorities, opinions, and emergencies shape your mindset before you've even said good morning to yourself. But when you hold that space, when you give yourself 30 phone-free minutes, you start the day on your terms. You protect your clarity, your focus, your peace, and you'll feel the difference. I promise. Finally, let's not forget the body. 2 to 3 minutes of gentle movement right when you get out of bed. You don't need a yoga mat or fancy equipment. Just stretch, roll your shoulders, do a few neck circles, maybe step outside and breathe in the morning air. This tiny act wakes up your circulation signals to your body that it's time to engage and helps shake off the stiffness of sleep. It's such a small thing, but it sets a powerful tone of care and presence for the rest of your day. I want to pause here and invite you to reflect. Which of these habits feels easy enough for you to start tomorrow? Because remember, the magic of micro habits isn't in their size, it's in their consistency. 1 sentence, 3 breaths, 30 phone-free minutes, 2 minutes of stretching. None of these take much time, but done daily, they shape who you become. They build the mental, emotional, and physical strength that helps you handle life with greater clarity and calm. And here's the best part: you don't have to do all of them at once. Choose one. Just one. The one that speaks to you most. The one that feels like a small but meaningful gift you can give yourself tomorrow morning, and commit to it, not perfectly, but consistently. Let it become part of your rhythm, part of your identity. And as that habit takes root, you can build on it. That's how strength grows. That's how real change happens. So as we move forward in this video, I encourage you to think about this. What small action can you take each morning that reminds you who you want to be? And what would change in your life if you practiced that action not once, but every day? Let's face it, starting a new habit is exciting. There's a sense of possibility, of fresh beginnings. But the real challenge, keeping it going. And when it comes to tiny daily disciplines, the key isn't in the size of the habit, it's in the system you build around it. Today, let's explore how you can maintain those small, powerful actions so they truly shape your life over time. The first and most important principle is this: start small. So small it feels almost too easy to skip. Our minds are wired to resist big changes, especially when life gets busy or stressful. But when you choose a tiny discipline, writing one sentence, taking 3 deep breaths, stretching for 1 minute, you lower the barrier to action. The habit feels light, achievable, and that's what makes it stick. Here's a simple trick that works wonders. Attach your tiny discipline to something you already do. Let's say you want to build a habit of writing 1 line of gratitude each morning. Don't leave it floating in your day, waiting for the perfect moment. Instead, tie it to a routine that's already locked in, like brushing your teeth. After you brush, you pick up your notebook and jot down that 1 line. Or maybe after you pour your coffee, you pause for 3 deep breaths before taking your first sip. This is called habit stacking, and it's powerful because it uses the momentum of an existing habit to anchor the new one. But even the best intentions can fade without a little structure. That's where tracking your tiny disciplines comes in. Now, I'm not saying you need to make this complicated. In fact, the simpler, the better. You could use a habit tracking app. There are lots out there, like Habitica Streaks or Done. Or you could print out a calendar and put a small check mark for every day you complete your discipline. What matters isn't the tool, it's the visual reminder. It's seeing those check marks or that streak build over time. That small sense of achievement helps fuel consistency. And on tough days, it can be the nudge you need. I've come this far. I'm not breaking the chain today. Let me share a personal story. I once struggled to stay consistent with morning journaling. I'd start strong, then miss a day, then another, and soon the habit was gone. What changed? I began using a small paper calendar and gave myself permission to just write 1 line. I kept the calendar visible on my desk. And those check marks, they became a kind of quiet encouragement. Even on days I didn't feel inspired, I'd write that 1 line because I didn't want to break the streak. And over time, that simple system helped the habit take root. Now let's talk about something that might be even more powerful than tracking accountability. You see, tiny disciplines are personal, but they don't have to be lonely. In fact, sharing your commitment with someone else can double or triple your chances of sticking with it. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't need a coach or a huge group. Just one friend, family member, or co-worker who's also working on building small habits. You can text each other in the morning. Did you do your habit today? Or check in once a week. How's it going? The key is knowing that someone else sees your effort, cheers you on, and reminds you that you're not doing this alone. If you like the idea of community support, consider joining or starting a small accountability group. It could be as simple as a group chat with 2 or 3 friends, or maybe an online community. There are Facebook groups, Discord servers, even subreddit threads where people share their daily wins and struggles. The goal isn't pressure, it's connection. It's having a space where you can celebrate small victories and get a boost when motivation dips. Let me ask you, who could you invite to be part of your tiny discipline journey? Who could you encourage and be encouraged by as you build these small, steady practices? Here's the beautiful part about all of this. When you start small, track your progress and share the journey. Your tiny daily disciplines stop being just tasks. They become part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries to build habits, and you start seeing yourself as someone who shows up for yourself every day, even in the smallest ways. So as you think about your own tiny disciplines, remember, you don't need to rely on willpower alone. You can create a system that makes success easier, that gently guides you forward, that helps you build strength quietly, steadily, day by day. In the next part of this video, we'll explore how all these small actions add up, how they shape not just your habits, but your mindset, your resilience, your life. But for now, I encourage you, choose one small discipline. Anchor it to your day track, share it. and watch how even the tiniest commitment can start to change everything. As we wrap up this journey together, I want you to take a deep breath and reflect on something simple but powerful. Real strength doesn't come from dramatic changes or massive overhauls. It's built quietly, patiently, through the tiny daily disciplines you choose again and again. We often look for breakthroughs. We wait for that big moment, the new job, the life-changing decision, the burst of motivation that will finally make everything different. But the truth, those moments are rare, and they don't last. What shapes your life, what builds unshakable inner strength, is what you do every day. The small, steady actions that on their own might seem insignificant, but over time create a foundation no storm can shake. Tiny disciplines are powerful because they're sustainable. They're the habits that don't require superhuman willpower or endless time. They're the choices you can make on your best days and your hardest days. And when you commit to them, you're not just building routines, you're building your identity. You become someone who shows up, someone who chooses purpose over distraction, someone who strengthens their mind and spirit quietly, but surely every single day. So let me ask you right here, right now, what's one tiny daily discipline you're ready to begin today? Just one. Maybe it's writing down one sentence of gratitude each morning. Maybe it's taking 3 slow, mindful breaths before you check your email. Maybe it's leaving your phone untouched for the first 15 minutes of the day. Whatever it is, declare it in the comments. Share it with me, share it with our community, and most importantly, share it with yourself. Because the moment you name it, you start making it real. And if this video spoke to you, if you're ready to keep building a life of clarity, purpose, and inner strength through small, intentional actions, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos where we dive deeper into Stoic mindset, self-mastery, and practical habits that help you stay strong in a noisy world. Remember, this strength isn't something you find. Strength is something you build one small choice at a time. And today is a perfect day to start.